Hey everybody, so we are here to do an answer key. It's going to be a little talk through of the questions that we have been working on. Just as a little friendly reminder, we are talking about pages 80 and 81. Should look something like this. If you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, that's a little bit of a problem. Remember, it's in this purple book. You should have completed questions 3, 4, 7, and 9. 9 has two parts, 9A and 9B. So 5 total questions. I'm going to talk through the answers for all 5 of these. And hopefully by the end of it, you guys will be feeling pretty confident about the work that you completed. If you notice or you feel like you're off base or maybe you did some of the wrong questions, you should stop this video right now. And make sure that you've completed the right work, because this is only going to be beneficial if you are checking and seeing the work for the problems that you've already done. All right, with that being said, let's dive into number 3. This says that Mr. Palmer had $5,675.68 in his savings account, and then he deposited $2,168.79 more in his account. How much is in his savings account now? I love this being our first question today, because for me, it's an easy one to start with because we already know this word. We know the word deposited because we talked about the word deposited yesterday. And it should be recorded. That's right. I'm going to keep talking about this little handy piece of paper that has all these action words on it. Should be a keyword that you see that reminds you that when we see deposit, we are talking about addition. And I would really encourage you to get into a habit of making little notes like this on any questions that you do, whether it's boxing or highlighting, and then identifying next to the word, saying, oh, I circled deposit, that means addition. Oh, I circled one of those words, like how much faster, that means subtraction. Just some friendly advice to help make sure that we're all being as successful as possible. But this is a simple one. It's an addition question. I just simply need to take the numbers that I've been given. I need to rewrite them vertically, just like we've been practicing, lining up my place values, thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, and then my change here on the end. Put my addition sign, and I need to add straight across. So this should look familiar to all of you. And now I'm just going to do some of my addition. 8 plus 9 is 17, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 plus 7 is 14, carry the 1. I'm going to drop that decimal point straight down, just like I was like dropping a penny from standing all the way to the ground. It's going to fall in a straight vertical line. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 5 plus 8. Remember, if you have to break out your fingers, it's okay. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Plus that 1 is 14. Carry the 1. Another one of these, 1 plus 7 plus 6, that's going to be 14 again. Carry the 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. Going to throw that comma in there right away. And 5 plus 2 is 7. So I got an answer of $7,844.47. Now, if I take a look in my book at all those multiple choice answers, I see that this is there. It is answer A. So that number matches up with choice A in the multiple choice section of this question. So hopefully you got that one right. We are going to move on to question number 4. A marathon is a race with a distance of 26.2 miles. And there's actually a really cool story that goes along with this that has to do with ancient Greece. If I was there in person, I would definitely be getting off track right now, and I would tell you the whole story, but I don't want to waste your time on this video. But if you remind me, I will tell you this story when I return to the classroom, because it is pretty interesting to learn how history connects to why we name things certain things. But it says that Lauren is competing in a marathon and has run 10.75 miles so far. How many more miles does she need to run to complete the marathon? Right away, I see this phrase of Let's use some orange here. How many more? And it even throws that word miles right next to it. I know that I'm going to be talking about the two different distances. And she needs to complete the marathon. So for this type of question, I'm talking about the big race, right? The total race is where I'm starting, right? The total race, that is 26.2. And then what she has done so far. So she's running way farther than I ever want to run. 10.75. I'm going to remind you that I like to start, especially for questions where the numbers are different lengths, by writing my decimal point first. And then I can fill in my 7 to the right and my 5 to the right, my 0 to the left and my 1 to the left. How many more? Now we have to decide what's happening here. That how many more, how much more, how much less, how much fewer, all those types of phrases like that are going to tell me that we're subtracting, because I have to figure out what she still needs to do. Got to put a placeholder in, and now I'm ready to subtract. And hopefully this also is looking familiar to you. So 0 minus 5. Can't do it. Got to borrow. But I can do 10 minus 5, and that's 5. Now I have 1 minus 7. I have to borrow again. I got to go to my neighbor. Make that a 5, and make that 1 into an 11. 11 minus 7 is something that I can subtract. I get 4. My decimal point comes straight down. 5 minus 0, easy one. It's 5, and 2 minus 1 is 1. 15.45. Remember, we are talking about miles here, not my son, but the unit of measurement. And this answer should match up with your book, because we're following along here with choice C. Choice C should have been the multiple choice that you selected for this problem. All right, guys, moving right along. Question 7, probably the most challenging question, because there were two things that we had to think about here. And I'm going to do some color coding to help us be extra successful with this problem. This is something that you can do too. I have no issue with you asking, like, hey, Mr. Quinn, hey, Miss Smith, can we borrow 2 different color highlighters? Absolutely. Those types of strategies are how we're going to find success for any word problem. But it says we have a blue piece of string that is 2.355 meters long. So I am going to box that whole chunk in blue, because that makes a lot of sense for my brain. And we have a red piece of string that is 3.8 meters long. So I'm going to box that chunk in red. Specifically the numbers, right? I have a blue piece of string and a red piece of string. And if you remember to the first video that we watched today, we talked about how the order of the question, the part that ends in that question mark there at the end, that is the piece that is going to matter the most. So this sentence here that I'm going to underline, how much longer is the red piece of string than the blue piece of string? That's my question, because it ends in a question mark. I am interested in the order that these two things show up in my question. I see red first, and I see blue second. So this can be tricky for our brains. But if red comes first, I need to find the red distance or the red length in my problem and write that first. And then I need to find the blue distance in my problem and write that second. So 2, stacking my decimal points, 3, 5, 5. So we did all this work, and we have to make sure we remember how much longer another one of those words, how much longer, telling us we're subtracting. So our question's going to look like this, and remember our placeholders. We can fill those zeros in to make sure that we can subtract correctly. Got to do some borrowing here. And I have to borrow across zeros, so let's make sure we remember how to do this. 8 becomes a 7. I have to stop in every place value column. I cannot just jump all the way to the 0 just because I want to. It has to pay a toll. As that number slides over next door, it's got to pay a toll. And then it has to slide another spot over and pay another toll. I can't just move all willy-nilly. There's an order to how we borrow. So there's I'm paying my toll, and I'm sliding over. Now I'm ready to subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. 7 minus 3 is 4. Decimal point comes straight down. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So this should be 1.445 meters. I'm just going to abbreviate that with an M, and that should be answer choice B. Definitely our most challenging question, I think, of the set of 5, because we had to flip-flop order, remind our brain that how much longer means to subtract, and to make sure that we were subtracting in the right order. One way that you could tell if you were doing something wrong, if you were subtracting and you did 2.355 minus 3.800, you're going to end up getting a very, very confusing answer. It's going to be a negative number, and we can't have a negative piece of string, right? Like a string can't be negative 2 inches long. So if you ever feel like you're stuck or your answer just doesn't make sense, chances are there was a slight error that you made, and we need to go back and rework the problem. All right. That was a lot of talking there for that one. So we're going to quickly talk through 9A and 9B. In this problem for 9A, I had to take a problem plus a table and interpret them together. So it's adding another step, another layer of difficulty. But in this problem, I'm comparing the dime and the quarter to the $50. And this is a two-stepper. The first thing I have to do, because I'm comparing the dime with the quarter on the same side, is I need to combine those two numbers because they are on one side of the balance scale. So I have to do some quick addition. 2.268 plus 5.670. And I get 8, 13, carry the 1, 9, decimal point 7. So 7.938. But that's only part of my problem. The question is asking me, how much greater is the side with the $50? That's another one of those words, and hopefully we remember that means to subtract. So I have to take the $50 amount, and I have to subtract that new piece of information that we just solved for. And I apologize for how tight-knit my problem is. I'm trying to make sure that I have space for all of it. But it's a lot of information. So I'm going to slide my picture up there just to make sure that you guys can see everything that I'm doing. I have to borrow. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0. I have to borrow again. 13 minus 9 is going to give me 4. Decimal point gets dropped straight down. And I have to borrow one last time and do 10 minus 7, which is 3.402 grams. And I apologize that my voice is starting to go. I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather, folks. All right. And that is an open-ended question, so that wouldn't really have been matching up with a multiple choice. So I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen. I'm going to tab us over one last time. And it says, what is the total mass of all three coins? Well, total mass, all three, that should be setting off giant alarms and whistles and things like that in your head that you're adding all of these together. I would really encourage you to do these as two separate steps. So I'm going to take my first two values and add those together. And then once I have that answer, I'll add the last piece. Hopefully that makes some sense for you guys. But either way, I have 4 plus 7, which is going to be 11. 1 plus 3 plus 6, which is 10. I'm going to drop my decimal point straight down. 1 plus 1 plus 5 is 7, and I get 17.01. But that only takes care of the half dollar and the quarter. So now I have to do the second part of the addition because it's 3 coins. 17.01 plus stacking my decimal points, 2.68. I'm going to add these. 8, 7, 2, decimal point 9, 1. 19.27 grams. All right. That was a ton of talking. I apologize, but it's the best I can do not being there for all of you. I hope you guys did really well. What I need you to do right now is in your Canvas module, there is an assignment that says, how many did you get right? It's a text entry assignment. You're going to click on the assignment and you are going to type a number. Did you get 3 of these right? Did you get all 5 right? Did you get 0 right? It is super important that you guys are honest with me. All I want to know is a number. You don't have to type anything else. Your answer choices are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for working hard.